Good morning, you guys. I wanted to get on because yesterday when I uploaded the video, for some reason it was really cutting up real bad. So there was a lot of static. So I decided to get on for about 25 minutes before I walk out of here and talk about Black Youngster. And when I listened to it, I was like, dog, all of the stuff I said, I mean, you could barely hear maybe you heard maybe half of it, and it was just like in you don't even know what I said before. The stuff you did hear, you couldn't hear why I said what I said before I said it because it was static and so bad. Okay. But I didn't feel like doing a video and then uploading it. I was like, I'll just do a live and speak about those things that you all were not able to hear uh, before I get out of here and go to work. I just got off my praying line, and it was really a good praying line. I appreciate the people that get up and get on the praying line, and we definitely are believing God for some miracles, and it is going to happen. I do believe it. And I told God, I was like, God, I don't know how you're gonna do it, but I know you're gonna do it, even if you bless me to be a blessing to everybody on that line, because I've always been a giver like that. So, but I'm praying for God to just bless everybody financially, spiritually, and physically for their health and all of that, as well as everybody on here too. Really, so I pray for everybody to be, well and have all the things that they need. I know people are struggling and all of that, and times are really, really hard. And so I speak blessings over everybody that comes in here, and I pray that all is well with everybody. I pray that all of your needs are met, all of those things. I know as we get older, we have parents and stuff that if they're still alive, they need us. Be a blessing to your parents. If some of you are taking care of your parents, I pray that God gives you provision and the mental and the physical to take care of your parents, um, so that they can, as they did us. I feel like our parents took care of us, and when they get older, it's for us to take care of them. So I pray that God gives you all the strength and the provision to be able to do those things, right? Anyways, you guys, I wanted to, I'll call my sister back. I wanted to do a part two on yesterday when I did a video and I uploaded a video about Black Youngster. It was really static and real, real bad. It was static and really bad. I was like, Lord. So I was like, I can do a little 30-minute video this morning to do like a part two of what I was talking about as it relates to Black Youngster. You all know that Black Youngster had did a show with 42 Doug, and I figured that he said these slot machines ain't treating me right. Black Youngster did a video. I mean, he did a show with 42 Doug. Black Youngster, we had not seen. Now, we knew. Oh my God. Hello, because I'm on live. All right, with 42 Doug, and I figured that they was going to go and get him, um, because y'all know Gotti is a fan of the show. Him and all of his cohorts, right? And so they went and got Black Youngster, and you could look at him and tell that he was not ready, as from what we saw. Okay, just in the picture, he's not his jovial, happy self anymore, and or none of that. Okay, people say that Black Youngster quietly do shows. I don't know anything about it. They just don't promote them, or he don't put it out there. But I mean, that's like an oxymoron. Like I was saying, like if you're booking shows and you're not promoting it, how you gonna have people to come out? Like how are you going to make money if people don't know that you are doing shows? So I don't know anything about that. I think folks would have started putting it on the internet. They take their phones everywhere. So I don't believe that. I believe that he is in a really a dry place and a depressed place. And here's the reason why he is taking it so hard, right? Black Youngster knows that he jumped into a situation that had nothing to do with him. I remember, I don't know if you all heard this. I remember when this situation first happened, and I didn't say much about it. I was kind of just letting people do and say what it was that they was going to say. But I heard Black Youngster's mother say, that they didn't understand why people was trying to say that he had anything to do with what happened to young Dolph. And she said, a matter of factly, she was like, Dolph has never done anything to Pig. She was like, he's never done anything. She was like, it's just rap. I mean, it's just rap. They just was they that's what they do to sell more records. In her mind, that's kind of what she thought. Now, if she had felt like Dolph had did anything to her son or anything like that, she would have said it, because she's outspoken just like Benisa is, right? But she was like, she said he liked what he was doing. He really admired Dolph. She said, I know this for a fact. He had an admiration, always had an admiration for Dolph. And it just goes to show, I don't know if she knows a little differently now. This is when it first happened. But I think that's why a lot of people that truly knows him and truly cares about him has an issue with this, because he didn't have any issues with Dolph. He actually did have an admiration for him before he got with this guy and stuff. But Youngster is a grown man, right? Youngster knew he knew better. He never should have allowed Gotti to push him this far. And after a while, you started seeing him take on this hate for young Dolph. I mean, and it was just a generic type of hate, right? I think he was being told that he needed to get Dolph need to be got out the way. So he started in order to get, because at one time we saw where Youngster was always around Gotti. He was always taking him to, when he was on the Breakfast Club, he had them all up under him, right? So the more attention he gave him, the more Youngster went at Dolph, okay, the more attention Gotti gave him. And I think Youngster liked that attention. And so unfortunately, I believe he was told that, we want to get him out the way. And Youngster developed a generic hate for Dolph that he had no business developing, because, you know, the human mind, not unless you are crazy, right? You know that it's wrong to go take out a person, get a person out the way that has not done anything to you. There's no reversal when you're taking out somebody, right? When you go and you kill somebody. And so I think that's why he's taking it so hard. And then after that happened, I think he started having issues. uh, uh Really, he started having those issues um really quite right after it happened. We saw him do a little diss in Dallas, which was messed up. Okay. I think what hurt him so bad is God started pulling away from him. I mean, he had already did what he wanted him to do. He started pulling away from him. Then they turned around and put a gag on him. Okay. I think that messed him up too. Like, you wanted me to do this, now you're putting a gag on me. Well, he had already did what he wanted him to do. He had no more use for him. And I think Youngster has had the opportunity to marinate on that, because he did the most. Okay, he did the most. And so that's why he's taking things so hard, right? Um, I don't. He sees that. I mean, who has gained anything? Um, you don't really see nobody balling but God in head. Okay, those are the only two. And I mean, Zach Randolph already had. If out of all of them, we do know that he was the one at that point in time that had money. But I don't even know why Zach Randolph would be in this, because as I told you all in the very beginning when this happened, when I was throwing out hints, I said, you all, why would Straight Drop be in Indiana? And I mean, we already know why Straight Drop was in Indiana, but I don't know why all of these people, as we know that Zach co-owns Endless Records with Head. It's weird, because it seems like he has kind of disassociated himself a little bit from that, but he was always involved with those Truly guys. Zach was. He always was involved with those Truly guys. So, you know, um, this is just something. And then, I think with Youngsta, how am I trying to put it? I think with Youngsta, he even after that Dolph situation, he just, it was weird. Okay, it was weird, and I think Youngster knows that he's gonna have to go and lay down for it. Now let me just say this. Right after um this Dolph situation, unfortunately, Youngster had lost his brother. Let me say this. It didn't have, I've been saying this. What happened to Youngster's brother, to Manny, didn't have anything to do with Young Dolph at all. It had everything to do with a dude in the neighborhood that was on pills or whatever, him catching him trying to break into his car. To Manny didn't kill him. Okay. What he did was they got to fighting and he beat him up. He let him live. Okay. Um, they see each other at the store the next day or a few days later, and they get to arguing in the store. He waits for Tamani to walk back outside of the store and starts pumping his gas with his back turned, and he shoot him in, and he shoot him in the head. He starts shooting at them. Okay, so that's what that was about. I know people wanted to have something to do with Young Dolph, but it didn't have anything to do with Young Dolph. As far as I know, none of them had anything to do with Young Dolph, because I don't think people really know the story of what happened with TD. Okay, with Tadarius, but I don't think that had anything to do with Young Dolph. If it did, um, I don't think his family knows that. The only person that would know that, I guess, is Youngster, but according to what they know, that's not what happened. Okay. His other brother, Ronnie, I mean, that situation happened way before Youngster was ever even signed to CMG. And um, believe it or not, when he was shot up, um, he survived. He actually survived, and he was at the hospital and doing well, and then he caught an infection, I do believe, and that's unfortunately how he ended up succumbing. But he had healed. He was healing. He had a little limp, whatever, but he was good. He just caught a little infection and ended up dying. So people don't really be knowing, what's going on. Um, with Tadarius, I guess there's some smoke and mirrors with that, but according to his family, that didn't have anything to do with Young Dolph either, right? I don't know, but I think what ended up happening was there was some manipulation that was put into the air, and Youngster was made to believe by people that he trusted that um, Dolph and Key Glock were putting the like laughing emojis and jokes and stuff. Supposedly they made Youngster think that those were slick subliminals, that they was making fun of him, right after his brother had passed. They made him believe that they putting up them laughing emojis, they making these slick little jokes on Instagram. They doing it at to TD, right? This is the manipulation that these people spewed. And Youngster, men being mentally weak and wanting to be accepted and feeling like these folks have given me more than anybody has ever given me. Him forgetting truly that it was God. Okay. He actually put God in all of them in a place where he should have had only God at. And that's how they help to I'll say nurture in this hate that he had for Dolph, right? That's why when you see him on some of these interviews, um, when you see him on some of these interviews, and they said Dolph said that he liked what you're doing. They said he said that. Oh man, he said that. That was actually after they had been shooting at him, right? So you think about even a person that's you helping to shoot at him, you getting people to try to take him out, and you don't even know why you're doing it. So you have to manufacture a hate that is coupled with manipulation to do this, because we see, right, that before they went and got True Mafia guys and Cornelius and them, they had Youngsta and his crew trying to kill him. Okay. And so I think Youngsta has had the opportunity. You see that they stopped pushing his albums. They was okay with letting Youngsta take the brunt of the hate, right? Because see, they knew when Dolph was, this is why Youngsta's family was angry too. Okay, I believe they was okay that they wanted Youngsta to diss Dolph, but then it had a real bad effect. It backfired. So, and they already knew that after Dolph was killed, Dolph had some killers around him, that somebody was going to be retaliated against. So we'll put Youngsta out front, let him do the dissing, and he'll be the one to get got. Because believe it or not, God want to keep him and his brother and them safe, right? If anybody had to be a sacrificial lamb, it starts from Youngsta on down, because they was gonna do Youngsta the same way they did Quet, the same way they did Straight Drop. That's why I know Quet ain't in love with Gotti. Okay, y'all better listen to what Mr. N say, because he's telling a lot of truth. Okay, he ain't in love with Gotti and them like that. You couldn't be in love with people that was gonna hang you out to dry. They was sending Straight Drop to Indiana, I guess, to somebody's property to hide out, and I think they was gonna hide him out for good in some dirt. Okay, and and we see what they was gonna do to Cornelius. They was gonna kill him. He just outsmarted them. And so now Youngster sees that, he's taking it hard, because you heard Mr. N say you had got his cousin, first cousin, allegedly stole 250,000 from him and invested in some Jimmy John's. Okay, I don't even like Jimmy John food, but invested in a Jimmy John. Um, you saw Youngster started having fits. He started having mental breakdowns when he was online saying, I know that they try. Now I know for a fact that I'm being blackballed, but nothing can hurt me no more. God got me protected. He saw these folks. He helped to do the ultimate. They put him out there to do the ultimate. Something ain't even had nothing to do with him. And then they turned around and started blackballing him. Got to start cutting him off. Okay. And all of that. Okay. I don't know if you all remember, there was a man that called in one night, and he got to talking about how um Youngsta and some more stuff. He kind of put some stuff out there, and he told me, he said, I know, he was talking about how close he was to Youngsta's mother. And he says, you're right, Youngsta realized that he used him, and it's really hard for him. You've heard his cousin say it, okay? You've heard his auntie, who was with his cousin one day, say it. And when people was talking about how rich he was, his own mama sister was in the background and said, what millions, baby? What are you talking about? She said that on my show. I don't know why other folks think they know more about these people than their own folks. And these people rock with him the long way. They love him. Okay, they already said if anything break out, they taking sides with him. And hey, that's his family. But at the same time, they saw the manipulation that happened. But Youngster got to take that, okay, because he was a grown man, he knew better, but he chose to get himself caught up in these things, right? And so now we see like that depressive spirit. You talk about somebody that was funny and jovial. If they really cared about Youngster, he was more of a comedian. Instead of them trying to get him to kill Dolph, they could have been getting him in movies, and he could have been doing comedies. Like he could have been in all types of stuff like that, right? Because he just had a natural funniness about him. You know how some people are just have a natural, when they just naturally funny. He was one of those ones, right? And so now when you look at him, he has a darkness. He has all that red around him. He has a darkness about him. And I think it's eating him up because he ain't had no reason to want to kill Dolph. Dolph had children just like Youngster has kids, right? And what has it benefited him? Not nothing other than the hate that he has obtained. Okay. Gotti can deal with the hate because he feels like he's the one that really gained and got the money. I've been telling y'all this. Mr. Ian said it. Gotti didn't go up until after Dolph, as far as where he's at now, after Dolph was killed. He had been around, but you go look at some of his old pictures. He didn't even look like he had the type of money that the credit lines, okay, because he ain't got the money either. He was able to get in with them real rich people, them Jewish people, and they don't give them money, they give you a credit line. He was able to get a bigger credit line off the backs of putting demons on the backs of like the straight drops and the youngsters and the Corneliuses, because that's what he did. He released those demons and they own him too. Okay. He just copes with it because he feel like, well, I mean, I did all this to get what I got, but God says, what good is it for a man to gain the whole world and lose his soul? That man lost his soul. Okay, he's soulless. And so, I was saying that I really hate that Black Youngster did this because I grew up around his family and I saw how his family struggled. He lost a lot of people. This before he ever even born, right? And like I said, I hadn't seen Youngster's mother since I was about 12 because I think Tammy was a couple years older than me. Her and Vanessa the same age, okay? And it was always a couple years older than me. And so I always talk about how I remember seeing her as a child when she would be around us, and he smiles just like his mother. She always had those chocolate gums, okay? And so he smiles just like her. And so seeing like his grandmother raised him and his other two of his brothers, okay? And unfortunately, I think Tammy started having her kids early. She became a product of her environment, right? But she had always growing up. I don't know how she was as an adult or as a teenager, but when we were kids, she always had a nurturing spirit. Like when we would play, I remember like we would always play this game called Mamas, right? Tammy would always be the mother because she always was real mature, and then she always had like a nurturing spirit, even though she was a kid. And so when looking at what all their family and stuff went through, all the deaths, all of the premature killings that happened even before Youngster was ever even born, I think that, God had given Youngster some type of talent, right? Whether a lot of people like his music or not, he had a talent, okay? And I think what Youngster did was he forgot that God gives the talents and not yogotti. And he put yogotti in them in a high place that he should have only had God. And he's suffering for that right now. Okay. I think God tried to breathe and to bring them out of a dry place as far as like generational curses. And I think Youngster was one of the first ones to be raised up, but he didn't know how to handle it because unfortunately he took his eyes off of the real God and put Gotti in that place, and Gotti was able to dog walk him. And I don't know why, a lot of these people think that they can play God. And another reason I think the folks was at Youngster so bad is because after Dolph was killed, I think Youngster thought that he was one of the ones that thought that he was going to exert a fear. Okay. Anybody talk about Dolph, he gonna die. Okay. Anybody talk about Dolph, he gonna die. Okay. And so and I think he's left to deal with this by himself now. Once, some things happen, because our Youngster really went and did some stupid stuff. Like I said, if he don't get got for one thing, they're gonna get him for something else. But you'll start to see Gotti. Gotti might even offer him another deal or something like that once he knows that the feds have really put their hands on him, because he's gonna be scared that Youngsta is going to tell on him. Okay, he's gonna be scared that he's gonna tell on him. So so that's why he's taking things hard. Okay, because he's taking things hard because he knows that he participated in something that he never should have participated in. He knows that Dolph didn't deserve what they did to him. And Youngster at that time had started making money and stuff like that. So it was no need for him to go and do this. But if he wanted to, he felt, but he started putting Gotti in the godlike place. I think he felt like his supply would be cut off if he didn't do what Gotti had wanted him to do. Right. And after that, Dolph is gone. You don't see God has disassociated himself from everybody. It's easy for everybody to try to put everything on Juke, but Juke was a puppet too, unfortunately. His brother got caught up in loyalty for him. Okay. Because you didn't hear about when they was trying to take Dolph out before. You didn't hear about Juke being involved. Because around that time, Juke and Dolph was cool. Okay. When Dolph and Gotti first started beefing, Juke wasn't in that. And they were still trying to kill him. Okay. So people forget about that when they was trying to kill him before. Juke wasn't involved in that. He ended up getting involved later because his relationship with his brother mended, because his brother wasn't messing with him like that. And then he took on the attitude and the energy that his brother wanted against Dolph, just as Youngster did, and just as the rest of them did. He's a master manipulator. Okay, and now Youngster has had the opportunity to marinate on that. Okay, he's had the opportunity to marinate on that, and he's done the ultimate, and that's irreversible. And so that's why he is taking things so hard. But in the in the end, though, he did it to himself, because he was old enough, even with the manipulation and all of that. He was at an age where he knew right from wrong, and he still chose to do it. And so I think, with these younger people, they should be looking at this closely. And people are so morally bankrupt. Okay, even though you have people that have looked at and seen, had a seat at the table or a front row seat to see exactly what it is that has happened, you still have folks that's wanting to get up under yogotti because they have put him in a godlike place. Okay, he gonna help me feed my family. What you got to sacrifice for that? Who he wants you to kill? Because in the end, you're gonna be in jail. Okay, and folks are so stupid that, well, he gonna pay for my lawyers. Your God is not gonna be able to pay for another lawyer. He ain't gonna be able to pay for a lawyer. Okay, and they're not gonna win a case. And I meant what I said by that. Another lawyer is not going to be able to come in and do what Manny did. And I told y'all this when it happened. I said, if Manny happened to come back here to represent somebody else, it probably won't be state. I told y'all that. And then meant what I said yesterday. And I said it as a joke, but I meant it. This revolution won't be televised. Okay. They taking them. You see what quit? He right over there in the federal court where nothing is televised. Okay, from this point on, the revolution won't be televised, and them federal prosecutors and judges gonna dog walk him and send him back with their tail between their leg with all kinds of black eyes and swords, because they don't play over there. Okay, so he ain't gonna be able to get a lawyer to go up in federal court where them federal prosecutors and stuff play just as dirty. They play just as dirty. They're just as manipulative as any defense attorney. He's not gonna be. They're not gonna. He ain't gonna be able to get a lawyer to go up in there and dog walk them attorneys. They're gonna get some. They're gonna get a whole heap of time. Okay. They're gonna fix it. Well, they gonna, even if they plead out, they're gonna fix it. Well, they ain't gonna get less than 12. And that's a lot of darn time to do, even if it's just 12 years. Okay, to be a puppet for Gotti. And by the time you get out, ain't no telling where he gonna be at. Okay, because God gonna get him back for everything that he has done, because he just had that, he just wanted that boy dead, that he wanted that boy dead just that bad, so that he could increase his credit line. Because you better believe when I tell you, he ain't got the money. He ain't got the money. He got his credit line increased. He was able to get loans from the power brokers in the industry. Okay. He was able to get access to that. They didn't care anything about them killing Dolph. They probably wanted them to kill Dolph because, I mean, they've made their millions and taken care of their children and kept their generational wealth going off of the black backs of black artists, taking advantage of them. Who is young Dolph in their eyes? Who is this black man to tell us that we can't continue slavery of his people? So we'll go get another Negro and give him a credit line to do it. And then you know what we'll do? Bill. Not only that, we'll give him, and then we'll make him the face. Although we own his label, because we had to have his label for collateral, we'll make him the face of CMG, and he can recruit other Negroes. And we get Dolph out the way because he's going to tell them the game. And you know that they're niggers, they're stupid. All they want is a little bit of money. So you go into the projects and you get the poorest person, okay, that's having hard times, that mama's struggling and all of that, but he talented. Okay. If you give him a little bit of something, you give him $25,000, he'll be forever grateful, although we'll make $25 million. And we'll get the yogottis to do it, because people don't look at character, they look at illusions of what they think folks got. And so, yes, they didn't care about him killing Dolph. That's why Gotti wanted him gone, so he could get that bigger credit line. And he got Youngsta in them to do it. Now Youngsta and them left around here broke, busted, and disgusted, and a lot of them are in jail. Okay, and you see Gotti talking about he on a boat. Him and Head go get on a boat because they think, I don't know what they think. I guess they think they can't be heard on the boat. Okay, I guess that's what they think. And he wants nothing to do with the rest of them, and that's why Youngsta and them are hurt. Okay, but you have to reap what you sow. What Youngsta did to Dolph, his participation in that, he knows Dolph ain't had nothing to do with none of his brothers. Okay, he might be feeling a little guilt for his brothers, but it ain't had nothing to do with Dolph. Some stuff I dare not get into, never will get into it. And I'm not saying it's his fault, but he might be feeling some type of guilt. But it ain't had nothing to do with Dolph. Okay. And so I think it's so sad because Youngsta, the reason you always hear him giving, praises to God is because regardless to the environment that he grew up in, he was raised on a godly foundation. Okay. Like I said, every time I spent the night, we was going to church. Okay. Every time I spent the night with Benice, we was going to church. Now they cuss like sailors. Youngsta grandmother, we call Youngsta's grandmother Auntie Louise. They all cuss like sailors. Whatever they had going on, it was still, their foundation was built on a godly foundation. Okay. And so Youngsta he knew right from wrong, but unfortunately, these young men be craving love. Instead of craving love from the real true God, they feel like, well, God to help me to eat. No, it is God that touches the heart of man. Okay. It's God that touches the heart of man. And God knew that Youngsta wanted something emotionally. Emotionally. That's how they're able to get him. That's the reason why when Puffy used to do that, making a band or whatever, he would always say, how much do you love singing? if you love singing, would you sing for free? The girls will say, yes, I'll do this for free. He ain't doing it for free. I ain't doing nothing for free. Nothing. I'm not. Now, if I donate my time to something, that's different. But as far as working where everybody else is getting money off of me and I'm supposed to do it for free for the love of it, while they make money, no, I ain't never been stupid. So they would never work with a person that's got my mindset anyways. But they'll go and love bomb these young dudes that ain't had no fathers. Families struggled to take care of them, right? They'll go and love bomb them and give them a little bit of money and then get them to do the ultimate and then cut it off. That's why Youngsta messed up. I pray that Youngsta, has repented, and he probably has. I believe it. I believe he's been repenting. I believe he regrets it. Now, what happened is God is a fan. We know you up in here because you don't sleep. That demon on your back won't let you sleep. He'll go and love bomb Youngsta again and probably say, man, I want you to do a song with Glorilla or a Bag or something like that to get him back to doing the stuff. And then when God take him down this time, he ain't coming back. Because a lot of these people, I'm going to say this and I got to get up out of here. A lot of these people you've been seeing, hurting folks and starting stuff and doing all kinds of evil stuff and making people's lives miserable, killing people and taking fathers and mothers away from their children. You ain't have to worry about them no more because God going to get rid of them. They're going to start having heart attacks and dying, or you're going to start seeing them bleeding out in the middle of streets because evil people got to go. Okay, if you read your Bible, it was happening in the Bible days. They got to be removed. Some people have to go for a group of people to be able to progress. Okay, so he need to move wisely and seek his love from God. Okay, instead of wanting to be love bombed by a man that only comes back around when they have an agenda for you. That means you're being used really and pimped out. But that's why he's having issues. Okay. And I be hating it for, I be praying for his grandmother to get well. And I can appreciate what he did did for his grandmother's house, but God gave him the talent to be able to do all of that anyways without participating in this stuff with Dolph. Now that comes with karma. That comes with karma. Okay. But the biggest demon won't go free. Okay. The biggest demons won't go free because God says, Pharaoh got to let my people go. Okay. Listen, y'all, I'm going to get back on here later on. Y'all know I'm only like 3 minutes from work, so I'm going to get ready and go to work. But I want you all to please like, share, and subscribe. Okay. I love you all. Y'all be blessed out there. Be safe out there. I'll talk to you later.